We start the night watching for potential storms across the state. Nothing potential about what you see there. The threat expected to continue through much of the evening, and it comes after several weeks of dangerous heat. Hello, thank you for joining us at 6 on air and on your devices. I am Hoyt.
And I'm Jurnee Taylor. Of course, we want to bring in meteorologist Nathan Scott as we have now a weather impact alert in place. Nathan, what is the very latest and what do we need to know on this Wednesday evening?
Well, Jurnee and Rolly, this is a live view right now. Interstate 40 just south of Conway, so the Gold Creek community, and you can see the rain certainly impacting the evening commute as we've got heavy rain across that part of Faulkner County. Now, these storms have really packed a punch. This is just one video coming from around the Ward area or Butlerville, Lono County, and those winds are whipping quite a bit. That was from an earlier storm around 2 o'clock this afternoon that not only produced some strong winds, but also some big hail. I'll show you the hail pictures coming up a little bit later in the broadcast. But we have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 10 o'clock for most of Arkansas. That includes all of central Arkansas. Weather impact alert goes until 10 o'clock this evening. The potential of strong to severe thunderstorms will be in place. The main concerns would be damaging wind gusts and also heavy rain. Also, there could be some hail. A dime to quarter size is still a possibility. So here's what we're looking at right now. It's really the northern half of the state that's being impacted by showers and thunderstorms, but we still have severe thunderstorm warnings here into Lono County, including you folks in Cabot and Ward. That cell could still produce some damaging wind gusts and also some hail. And we have another severe thunderstorm warning here for parts of Perry County and extending into parts of Faulkner County until 6:15. But you see how everything is starting to pretty much gel into a solid line, and this line is going to be making its way down to the south. So not too much has been happening here in Pulaski County, but that will be changing over the next 1 to 2 hours. I'll have more on what you can expect for this evening and for the rest of the work week into the weekend coming up.
All right, Nathan, thank you. One big prison or expand existing space. State lawmakers are back at the drawing board trying to solve that political puzzle and an overcrowding crisis.
County sheriffs say their jails are already holding thousands of people who are waiting for space in the state prison system. And earlier this week, lawmakers heard from those searching for a long-term solution.
THV11's Carter Thweet joins us from the Capitol. Carter, what are lawmakers looking at considering that they've got a stalemate building over Franklin County?
Well, Rolly, lawmakers say they went into this meeting open-minded and they had just one question. Does Arkansas need more prison beds? And they say that after talking to county sheriffs and Department of Corrections officials, they're much closer to an answer.
The prosecutors, the Department of Corrections, the sheriffs, everybody coming and telling us we need prison beds was no surprise.
State Senator Alan Clark says while he kept an open mind, he was pretty confident that would be the answer. On Tuesday, Polk County Sheriff Scott Sawyer told Clark's committee just how much prison space is needed.
The state backup list is 2,506 inmates. That's inmates that are in the county jails waiting for a bed in the prisons. 70% of those offenders are violent, so we're dealing with violent convicted felon offenders in county jails that are not designed for that.
Department of Corrections officials agreed more space is needed, but some lawmakers quickly shifted to Governor Sanders' preferred option, a controversial prison in Franklin County the legislature declined to fund in 2025.
The article last week said Franklin County prison proposal canceled. Officials working on plans to expand existing prisons. Is that an accurate statement?
As far as the Franklin County project being canceled, I don't believe that is an accurate statement. We're looking at other alternatives while we talk about the larger issue of the bed space, the funding for the Franklin County project, or whatever the case may be.
Clark says he agrees the state needs more prison space, but he's not throwing his support behind the Franklin County prison or any other solution. The committee plans to meet monthly starting in September through next year's legislative session.
It's kind of going to be brainstorming sessions and bring us the ideas, and I really have no idea where we're going and have no preference. I just want to solve the problem, and I think that's where most people are.
And also at Tuesday's meeting, lawmakers heard from a group called Decarcerate. That's a local group here. They argue the solution isn't more prison space, but rather reducing the current prison population. And Senator Clark tells me that perspective and all perspectives will continue to be a part of this conversation as the committee moves its discussions forward. Here at the Capitol, I'm Carter Thweet with THV 11 News.
All right, Carter, thank you. Well, former Vice President Kamala Harris is endorsing Democrat Chris Jones for a seat in the U.S. House. Jones is facing Republican incumbent French Hill in November.
Now, the lone independent poll out of Hendrix College surveying this race shows Jones with a slight lead. That's amid perceived widespread disapproval of the Trump administration. Of course, that same Hendrix poll showed Harris with within 15 points of President Trump 2 years ago, and she would eventually lose by more than 30 points here in Arkansas.
Meanwhile, some of the biggest names in aerospace and defense are in the natural state today, talking about the future of national defense.
And Arkansas Congressman Steve Womack says that future is going to require more investment. This all comes as Congress looks to increase defense spending as the war in Iran grinds on. Womack says the U.S. needs to keep up with rapidly changing technology as drone warfare becomes more and more lethal on the battlefield.
To him, that means prioritizing defense spending even as the country deals with a growing national debt.
You prioritize defense spending because if you're not a safe and secure nation, if you can't protect yourself and your friends and your allies, your partners around the world, then nothing else matters.
The summit in Bentonville did draw a group of about 12 to 15 anti-war protesters just outside the venue.
We're moving over to a developing situation involving multiple law enforcement agencies. As tonight, officials say 8 missing kids are back in safe hands as part of what's called Operation Hope. The effort began 8 days ago and focused on 4 kids who were reported missing from foster care or other high-risk situations. Well, they found 3 of them last Tuesday, but during that operation, 6 more cases popped up across the state. So far, 8 have been found, leaving 2 still missing.
We are pushing so hard to get that children from missing from care to 0. And of course, when we look at across the state, we have those 30 missing kids that are still missing, and we're just not going to stop until we bring them all home.
Similar efforts have taken place in Mississippi, Missouri, and Kansas. THV 11's Catherine Rowley will have more on this story tonight at 10.
State Attorney General Tim Griffin announcing that Arkansas and 50 other states and territories have reached a $17 billion settlement with Meta regarding the safety of children on social media. The lawsuit began in 2023 with Arkansas the first state to sue the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. The natural state is now guaranteed at least $172 million, but that number could be even higher, making it the state's largest ever settlement from a big tech company. As part of the agreement, Meta will also implement new safety features.
Meta has agreed to set a default daily time limit of 2 hours that will drop to 1 hour if other social media platforms agree to similar terms. Set a default block between midnight and 6 a.m. when our children should be sleeping, not scrolling.
In a statement, Meta called the agreement an important step forward in supporting young users. The amount Meta pays is tied to whether other tech companies like TikTok and Google go along. One state not involved in today's settlement, New Mexico. Back in March, a jury there ordered Meta to pay $375 million for violating state laws.
State inspectors finally have permission to examine a Hot Springs facility the Arkansas Department of Human Services says has been operating without a license. And today, we got a first-hand look at the conditions inside.
Lakeside Residential Care appears to operate 6 small homes in that area. Its name suggests they're group homes. Problem is, they don't appear to have the license required to run them.
THV 11's Mike Ellison got a chance to see why state and local officials are so concerned.
Residents at Lakeside Residential Care say this is unacceptable. DHS says the facility is operating without a license, and state inspectors are aware of the conditions inside these homes.
This has been an ongoing situation for several years, and I know that there's been several attempts made to address the situation.
From the street, it's hard to see the problems residents describe. The facility's website paints a much different picture, but a closer look reveals broken windows, visible fire damage, and even overgrown landscaping.
But the reports that we received from public safety entities were that there were bed bugs, there were items blocking hallways, there were several issues with the interior of the structures.
I spoke with the manager of the facility who declined to say anything on camera. I also asked her about who the owner was. She said she was unable to provide his name.
Court documents identify Jay Johnson as the property owner. They also allege Johnson illegally prevented investigators from entering the homes. But while I was on the property,
Hi. A concerned tenant flagged me down and asked me to take a closer look.
Well, look at this right here. You see the floors all nasty, deteriorated. It's moldy. It smells like mold. And I am not paying no $9.40 on no rent.
Karis Johnson says his living conditions have gotten worse. He showed me a broken washing machine, mold, and what he describes as an unbearable stench.
It smells horrible, terrible. It smells like ammonia, like people have been dead in here or something. Turn the water on.
Other tenants also pointed to similar issues like bed bugs and other maintenance issues. We also spoke with residents who had no complaints, but they declined to say so on camera.
How can you clean up a place that look like this? You can't.
A circuit judge sided with DHS and ordered Lakeside Residential Care to immediately allow inspectors and local law enforcement onto the property. For some tenants, that brings relief and hope for a way out.
I'm finna find me a way to get H up out of here. I'm leaving.
In Hot Springs, Maya Ellison, THV 11 News.
Maya, thank you. Still to come here at 6, the contest that Governor Sanders hopes will motivate kids to get outside and share their stories.
And we have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that has included a large part of Pulaski County. Also, the Little Rock Metro. As you see, that line of showers and thunderstorms just off to our north is building its way down to the south. So things could be rocking and rolling here in Pulaski County shortly. I'll have a look at radar across the rest of the region and let you know when you need to stay weather aware coming up.